Hey everybody, Shay here. We're going to be doing this one a little bit differently this time. I did just read Attack on Titan Volume 5, and I'm going to give you my thoughts along the way as I flip through the pages. Hopefully it'll trigger some memories, and I'll be able to give you a more cohesive overview of what went down. I guess up front, careful with spoilers down below. And of course, if you're here, I'm going to be talking about things in this volume, and so if you don't want to be spoiled, even though this is going to be like a partial review, or at least my summary of my initial reactions in any case, and just talking points and stuff like that, so I'm obviously going to go into spoiler territory for you. So this is just a cautionary note up front. So let us begin. We're in a side story right now, Elsie's Notebook. I actually really enjoyed this chapter. It is a bonus chapter. It's not numbered. So it talks about a bit of a background. Maybe if you're new here, it's the beginning of volume 5. It'd be weird if you started here. Just like, I think most of the volumes have sort of opened up with a recap of sorts. But it's not just a recap of the story that happened before, but like the world, the kind of rules that are in place, etc. Now, this only took a page to do it. The kickoff for the side story. I don't know the context behind this. I don't know if it was like a bonus story, like they released it on the web somewhere. I'm not sure how it fits in, right, into the whole. I heard it was like the monthly schedule for this series. They are longer chapters though, so the monthly schedule does make sense for this. I remember in other manga, a chapter was generally about 20 pages, if I recall correctly, unless it was like a chapter 1. But these ones are definitely more than 20 pages. There's about 5 chapters per volume in Attack on Titans. So we got Elsie. She's out there in the field. She's a documenter, tries to record absolutely everything she sees, so that for those who come after her, they're gonna have that first person account on things. And why that becomes important is as she's like fleeing from the decimation of her crew down here, she ends up running into a Titan controlled territory. That's it. So she's going into some woods, which are outside the walls, of course. This is the Survey Corps. Her people get decimated, and so she's talking about trying to capture everything. So I will record what happens to me on this paper, and I will do everything I can. I will not succumb. And why that becomes important, I will not succumb. There's a Titan that runs into her. Now, the expression on that Titan's face is just a little bit odd to me. It does seem scared. Now, I do find that some of the Titan expressions, they seem sort of locked in. So if they're like a smiling Titan, for example, like it's always smiling. Or, I don't know, I just feel like the expression itself isn't indicative of the experience the Titan is having. Like they could be getting pieces chopped off, and if they're smiling, they're smiling. Like it's like they don't feel anything, that kind of thing, which we'll get into in this volume. But anyways, they encounter each other, but still, that expression, it seems pretty consistently terrified or something like that along the way. She's, of course, terrified, but she won't stop writing. She will not succumb. She's going to document as much as possible. And we have this scene right here, which I'm going to point out. It's a 6-meter class, likely an abnormal. This is the end of the line for me. And then, I'm not sure what it's doing with this hef. I don't know if it's exhausted or tired, but it looks like it's smelling her or something like that. At least that's what I took away. And maybe I've got a red herring to myself. Does it say? And so she says, I feel sick. Oh, it's over. A subject of Ymir. And then it sort of stops and bows, and that's where things get a little bit odd. And again, it still has that terrified-ish kind of look on its face, Lady Ymir, and then it speaks, and that's the big kind of holy crap moment. And it's sort of like in this position of worship, and she's confused. It spoke, she writes down, she keeps writing, of course. No mistake, it said a subject of Ymir, Lady Ymir, and well met. This Titan's face changes expressions. Oh, it does change expressions. So I started off saying something that wasn't true, and I forgot that it was actually written. It was actually part of the exchange here. It was supposed to be odd. Oh, because it's sort of calm there while it's in that worship. It's no longer in that scared face. So I think I said something that was true. It's just that this one does change its expression after it speaks. It becomes sort of just aware of its space, context, making associations that are mysterious right now for all of us. I don't believe it. For the first time in human history, I communicated with the Titan. What are you? And so she tries to talk now. Asks the Titan about its nature. It doesn't say anything, or just goes, oh. It moaned. It didn't form words. Asked about its origins. Where did you come from? It moans, of course. It doesn't go any further, but I feel like it almost like gets frustrated maybe with things, because it definitely freaks out. And then she asks, like, why do you eat us? It's ripping out its cheeks, like under its eyeballs. I took it as it's getting super frustrated because maybe it's trying to gain control or communicate, but it can't, or something's taken over. Maybe that primal nature of the Titans that generally kicks in, and they just become these forces of nature. It just sort of happens, and then it becomes this instinct mode, and it grabs her, and then chompy chomp, it just they're off with her head, I suppose. And the journal gets left behind. And then the important part, it gets discovered later on by Levi's squad. So this soldier died a year ago. It's Hong is the one who picks it up. which makes sense now to the context of the story. This is what Elsie Langer died for, so that the Titans can communicate, and that reveals something about the Titans that obviously should be disconcerting. So we get back into town here. We got episode 19, Still Can't See. The interior was in a state of confusion just like 5 years ago. The Colossus Titan had destroyed the southern gate of Tross District, and Tross District was temporarily occupied by Titans, but a do-or-die operation to take back the territory has succeeded, and the gate was sealed. So we got a recap of the previous volume, so we can move on past that. And then the big kind of moment reveal for the setup of this volume is Eren is in chains and in a cage, if you will. The dungeon, the cage. And they're questioning him. We got Erwin in here. So he asks for water, and he gets told, remember your place. So he's getting some flashbacks as to, him getting called out and when he transformed into Titan, and, is he a monster or is he a human? Maybe self-doubt going on here while Eren's in the cage. Now, he's not angry about being chained up. He sort of accepts the fate or his circumstances. We then have Hong or Honge or Hanji. It's Hong. I think it's Hong Zoe. Is that right? And then I forget this guy's name right now, but I'm sure it'll pop up again. The dude with the goatee. Oh, this is the part that I thought was exceptionally strange here. Mike Zacharias is his name, and the odd part here is they take him out because he's about to go on trial, and then Mike does this like sniff of Eren, which is like, why did that scene even exist unless it was important for it to exist? And where it threw me off, and maybe this is me red herring myself, and it's just an accident of circumstances, if you will, but you have a scene like this with the half, and I took that as a sniff. I'm not sure if it is anymore, but then we get this opening scene with Mike, also squad leader, and he's sniffing Eren. Like, why? And is it just like he's got the special ability to be able to, like, I don't know, he has extra sensory, like he's got extra senses, he can smell better, but why? Like, it doesn't go into the why. She just says, oh, he just does that sometimes, right? It probably doesn't mean anything. Believe me, his skill as a squad leader outweighs his quirks. That's how it just kind of gets brushed off. And in this entire volume, I don't recall that ever coming back up again, which is maybe it just threw me off. So I don't know if that's a little bit of a red flag there. I'm not sure. Anyways, we're going to move on. So he's in trial now. Eren he's got to go up against a bunch of the other factions inside the city to see like what his fate's going to be. There's people he recognizes in the audience, of course. Mikasa and Armin are in there, and then the trial goes down. It is being led by Commander-in-Chief Darius Zackley. So he's taking charge of this. He's going to be the jury, the judge, the jury, and the executioner, I suppose, if that's what the people vote on. So he asks Eren, as a soldier, you've pledged your life to serve the public. Is that correct? He says, yes, sir. Regular law cannot apply in these exceptional circumstances. Therefore, this will be a military tribunal. Ultimate authority has been entrusted to me, even over your life. Now I will ask you only once. Do you have any objections? He says, no, sir. So the trial goes on. So he says how some people, see him as a symbol of hope. Other people see him as a demon, potentially the downfall. We'll see whether that becomes true or not. We got representation here from the military police brigade and the Survey Corps, and we have a new faction that joins in this, which is, where is he? Right here. This dude. Pop. Right. So it's a church or something. I'll get to it. But anyways, Eren's basically that uniform. It's from the group that started gaining followers 5 years ago. So after the Colossal Titan appeared. What was it called? The church or something? Now, the interesting thing is the symbology here is he's got like the gate sigils over around his neck. So it's almost like they worship the walls themselves is how I took it based on the exchanges that happen here. In any case, the MPB want to basically take what they can from him and then martyr him. The church wants him executed immediately. The Survey Corps, on the other hand, wants to take him in, use him as power against the Titans themselves. With his strength, we can recover Wall Maria. I believe our priorities are clear. And then they have this kind of back and forth of just what's the opportunity of keeping him or not. We got the merchants, of course, weighing in. The Colossus Titan has only been able to destroy the gates in the walls. If we just reinforce those areas, they would never be able to attack again. Do those dogs in the Merchants Association really want land that badly? All you people do is blurt out unrealistic ideals while plunging us further into ruin. We won't let you play at being heroes any longer. You're full of talk, you pig. So Levy calling him out. Where's your guarantee that the Titans will wait patiently while we wall up the gates? When you say we, you're talking about my friends who protect you while you get fat. You pigs, take no notice of the people who can't eat because there isn't enough land. And now that sets off some reactions, of course. Here, all I said was that we'd be safe if we sealed up the gates. That's enough, insolent scoundrel. The church weighing in here, while Rose was a gift from God. Do you mean to say human beings should lay a hand on it? So that's where it's like the walls themselves become these like holy relics of sorts. It brings up the whole idea of like worshiping icons, you know, maybe being the downfall of humanity here as well. How can you fools look upon that wall, that divine masterpiece beyond human knowledge, and still not comprehend? And then Aaron thinking, and I'm assuming these are like angry thinking bubbles. Is how I read these. These idiots were why it took forever to get cannons mounted on the walls. What they say is nonsense, but they have widespread support and influence, which makes them dangerous. Anyways, Aaron just working himself up. I'm going to start skipping forward a little bit here. But can you continue as a soldier and use this Titan power for the benefit of the human race? Yes, sir, I can, he confirms. Right after becoming a Titan, you swung your fist 3 times at Mikasa. So he gets called out for his actions. He doesn't actually acknowledge that he had done that. He does look at Mikasa for confirmation, and she just looks down. So she doesn't really give it, so she doesn't deny it. And so at that point, Aaron's like, oh, damn, like maybe I don't have control of this thing. What am I committing to here? And that might be important for later on, right? It's that self-confidence around the control factor of himself. And, you know, if are you a monster or a human? Well, how do you rein in the monster so that you can still do what the human desires as opposed to what the monster wills? And I'm saying it that way because we took away in the last volume that the whole thing with Aaron is he's got this strong sense of willpower. Like, he will push himself to succeed at something, and that could be the thing that actually becomes his strong suit, right? He will force himself to gain control of something because he's got extremely strong willpower, or that's why he's got the control he has with the Rogue Titan. It could have gone another way, but maybe that's the setup for us to kind of acknowledge that it could have gone another way that might have been planned. And again, there's a lot of speculation going on here because we know that the father's involved to some degree, so there's some conspiracy tied to the Titans. And so maybe him having the willpower that he has, he sort of broke something along that chain. Like, it wasn't meant to be. The Rogue Titan wasn't meant to be what the Rogue Titan became, if that makes sense. So he is sort of defining what he can become, and it's just a slow burn kind of storytelling here. It does open things up to debate. Aaron then, of course, gets worked up because of the back and forths. He starts to pipe up, say stuff. In the first place, you people have never even seen a Titan, so what are you so afraid of? Maybe I should just shut up. So he acknowledges that maybe he's going too far. He absolutely starts raging out here. And again, if he became a Titan right now, everyone would be in trouble in this room. Let's be honest, right? So just shut your mouths and invest everything in me. And then everything goes quiet. There's some mumbling. Stand ready. It was like, he's about to rage out. And if he rages out, he's going to turn into a Titan. And then Levy comes in and kick to the face. A tooth falls out. And he doesn't just kick to the face. He really starts working him. And what we see here is what I took away is he doesn't transform. So Levy does get control of the situation, and the point here was that Levy could control the situation, and he could bring him down if he had to. If he turned into the Titan and needed to be controlled, Levy would control the situation. And so by doing that, he sort of cements the support for the Survey Corps to take him in, because that's what he asked for. It's like, you know, I can handle it, so give him to us, and then we'll work on it, you know? What'll we do if you make him mad and the Titans... And he turns into a Titan. He apparently killed 20 Titans when he was a Titan himself, stopping only out of exhaustion. The fact that he has intelligence could make him a formidable enemy. So basically saying, like, don't push the buttons the wrong way here. So give him to the Survey Corps. We'll keep a watch on him. Irwin stepping in here, of course, like taking advantage of the situation that Levy had created for himself, a little bit of manipulation in the courtroom. And then Irwin says, I'm quite aware that our activities outside the wall depend on the stability of the human race. I don't take the problems of the interior lightly. So let me propose that to calm the public, we'll prove that Aaron is a valuable asset to humanity in our next expedition beyond the wall. I would would like to decide his future based on those results. So there we go. Eren Yeager is placed in the care of the Survey Corps as the command here. However, he may return here depending on his accomplishments. And then while they're in the green room or whatever that is right there, talking about it, they sort of confirmed that, thank God that he overreacted there and they could have stepped in to really control the narrative inside that courtroom. And then so Eren says, you have my respect. He took some damage for them to pull that off, but he does have the respect. And then Levy coming in here and basically saying, do you resent me? No, sir. I know you needed to put on a show. Very well. Just very objectively straightforward exchange between the two. And then Hong comes in here, man, you lost a tooth, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, nah, just check his mouth. And then she checks his mouth and the tooth is back. And then dun, dun, dun. So it's like, he's not a Titan, but he's still regenerating like one, even though he's a human right now. Sort of important. So we have a special operations squad, episode 20. And we're going to be heading outside the walls and onto an expedition. We have Uwobo, what was his name? What was his name? The guy who keeps on trying to be as gruff and rough as Levy, but failing at it and keeps biting his tongue. I thought that was a weird comic relief thing to add in, but kind of funny sometimes to just break the tension maybe of what's going on, but sort of silly. But that's okay. It's a break the tension. So we have a confirmation here that Eren is he's acknowledging the fact that he's with the squad Levy because if he does lose control, he will just get killed. They'll just take him out. So their first task here is to clean this keep, make it spotless, I suppose, to give him something to do. And I think that this is really about just him following orders and becoming subservient to those demands. Literally, that's the key word here. It's just follow the orders. I think because of creating that chain of command requirement, it would allow Eren to enforce his will upon himself, that if he's just following commands, he's not able to trigger that moment himself. I think that's what I took away from this. It's almost like the rat test and stuff like that, right? They step on a button and then food gets released and then they eat the food. I think that's the kind of setup that this whole chapter is about. They also take the opportunity here to give us some exposition. We are in the act 2 of this volume, so it's a little bit more of a talky scenario. They're all sitting around the table, but they get to talk about how do you trigger this thing anyways? He's he bites himself or I guess takes damage and then it happens, but he doesn't know that that's what would have worked. He just did it, but he doesn't have the memory of knowing that that's what he had to do in order to trigger it. He just did it. And so that comes up, which is going to be important for a later scene in this, which I thought was kind of neat because it's subtle. And I like little subtle narrative winks there. We have Hong coming in, and then we get the context behind Hong being over enthusiastic about her new dedication to researching Titan physiology and trying to find out their weaknesses and whatnot. And so we learn about Sunny and Bean here, and she's doing light deprivation. She's poking out their eyeballs. Just one of them gets weaker without the sun, and then the other one doesn't. But then another one will sort of indicate that they're feeling pain, but the other one doesn't care that their eyes are getting poked out. Man, it's crazy. And sure, there might be an ethical conversation here going on, but when you think about what the Titans are and just what they exist to be, it's kind of well, no. The more you learn about they don't really feel pain, you're kind of these bodies aren't really bodies, is what I've been taken away. Oh, they're lighter than they should be relative to their size, which is why they're able to be bipedal. But then that makes me ask questions about how about the ones that are walking on fours, and maybe there's a dynamic going on there that maybe it's not important, but maybe it is. Maybe these are signals that will allow them to build strategies, more intentional strategies around the certain types of Titans later on. They're actually starting to, I guess, maybe be able to categorize them to some degree so that they can build strategies against taking them out. Anyways, Eren is kind of excited to hear all of these things. It comes across she gets so enthusiastic that no one really wants to hear her yap on about how she tortures Titans in order to learn things. But she is crying when she does it. She starts to feel for them while doing this, but she keeps doing it because it's important. You got to get this information. But she does sort of start to feel bonded to them to some degree, even though they try to eat her. They really don't care that she's doing this to them. They're not building a relationship bond to her, but she is to them. And that's, I think the subtext behind that is that she's still human, whereas the Titans absolutely are not. They're abominations. Yeah, so she's cutting off limbs and stuff in the first place. That Titan shouldn't have been able to stand, much less walk on 2 legs. So this is a bit of a setup here for a line here that's kind of simple, but it sort of speaks to something a little bit more broader. So so she says about Eren, then I hear that when you turn into a Titan, Eren, your Titan body just formed up out of nothing. What I think is happening, and this is the important part, is that what we can see, because it's in bold, what we can see and the true nature of what actually exists are totally different things. And this is like based on philosophy here. It's like to perceive is to believe is a way that I've understood. I believe that came from Berkeley back in the day. And it's the idea of, is that realness is defined by what is seen, but what she's saying is like, but they don't exist. They literally disappear. Even the Titan, even the Colossus Titan, it disappears into steam. It just disappears. So you should be second guessing what it is that you're seeing, what you're reacting to when you're reacting to Titans themselves, because maybe there's something beyond the Titan that we should be looking into, that we should be trying to perceive, so that it can become real as well. Trying to get to the truth of the behind the illusion, right? That they are physical forms, but they're a little bit of a deception going on here. And I don't know, maybe there's like something deeper that goes beyond this, but I took away the philosophy of it because those two words are bolded and in my background, and that was one of the philosophers I enjoyed the most. He was a bishop that became a philosopher, and just his theories were intriguing to me about reality and 3 levels of reality and stuff like that, and of realness, not reality. In any case, I won't go into it here. I'm not going to derail. We're going to move on. And so Aaron kind of is analyzing her. I'm not sure if that's important, but he is analyzing her traits, her quirkiness, and calls it out. It's like I've been in a constant state of surprise ever since joining the Survey Corps. It's not only Miss Hong. This organization is full of oddballs, like a haven for eccentrics. I don't know. I don't know if that's supposed to mean something. A group of people looking to change the status quo. That's the Survey Corps. It's such an epic panel for something so mundane, right? They do this a lot, and it sort of stresses the words in that panel, but maybe they're not supposed to be as stressed as they are in my head when I read them. And I just realized this isn't actually faster for me. I'm at the half an hour mark, whatever you're seeing. Now you have context over, I'm effectively like, well, I'm speed reading it the second time around because I have my thoughts sort of in place. I'm just trying to call them out, you know? Anyways, and then we get to the end of the scene here, and she says, first of all, regarding communication, there has been a curious case involving a soldier named Ilse Langnar, but there's an interruption. So Aaron doesn't actually hear this, like, what of Elsie? It's Squad Leader Hong here, and then they get the news here that both Titans have been killed. So shenanigans are afoot, and she's decimated because there goes, I mean, it's almost like she's both decimated because now her whole project is kind of been broken down, but also that she's lost Sunny and Bean, and she was a growing affinity between her and those 2 Titans, you know? But this does raise the question, like, who did it? Why did they do it? Like, this was obviously an internal job. This wasn't Titans that did this. So there's an exchange here that is very curious and odd. We have Levy turning around, let's go. The rest is up to the military police brigade, and then it says, what happened here? Which is Aaron wondering what's up, and then right there, what do you see? Who do you think the enemy is? So Erwin asking him about who he thinks, but like, why would he know? And then he says, sir? And there's confusion. Sorry for asking. Such a strange question. And he just pats him on the back and then walks away. So it's like, Erwin is obviously, like, he believes there's a backstabber inside the Corps itself, maybe, or the police brigade. I'm not sure, right? But something's afoot. We have episode 21, opening the gate, and I just realized I might have to split this into 2 because I have to go to a medical appointment, and I will be back to continue this. This is going to be way longer than I thought, but I'll catch you when I return. Okay, and I'm back, and I'm going to jump right into it. We're on episode 21, opening the gate. I've lost a little bit of my momentum. I sort of have to like swing back into it. I thought this was cool. Rejected cover ideas. The mood didn't fit with the world. And it's just like, it's just a sketch. But you know what? I have to say, I'm not a big fan, generally, of the covers of this series. Anyone else? Like, I just don't think they're that good. And I'm not talking about the art right here. I'm talking the composition of the covers is terrible. On the level of almost atrocious. Like, it's really bad from a designer perspective. It's just, they're not compelling. They're not really well composed. That's all I'm going to say. You can get punished for killing Titans, huh? Yeah, it is weird. Okay, going from person to person to determine potentially who was at fault here. So we got Armin talking with Connie here, and who else is in here right now? Is that Annie? I think it is. Is that her name? Yes. I'm gonna say yes. I'm just trying to see. There we go. Okay, I was trying to find out who was on that side of Armin. So we got Connie, Armin, and I believe that's Annie. Anyway, so they're talking about, you know, like trying to figure out like who would have done this, right? Like obviously this only helped the Titans, as Armin says, but this practically helps the Titans. And he says whoever did it may have satisfied their thirst for revenge, but it's a blow to the human race. So I kind of get where they're coming from. Armin's like, huh? You lose your ability to think. Before I saw my first Titan, I really wanted to join the Survey Corps, but now I never want to see another Titan as long as I live. Connie, that's sort of your job now. I mean, it's what you do, even though we have to choose a branch today, right? So they basically choose at this point, are they going to be Survey Corps or I mean, only the 10 of them, if I remember correctly from the earlier volume, can choose to go to the military police brigade. My mind's already made up. It says, Annie, I see. You're going with the MP brigade, right? Hey, Annie, you think I should go for the wait, why does it say MPS this time? Military brigade. Why does Connie say MPS? I'm not crazy. It's right there. MPB, not MPS. And then Annie says, if someone told you to die, would you? What? Of course not. Then you should do what you want to do. How about you, Armin? If I could understand why I had to die, I think there are times people have to die even if they don't like it. I don't think anyone likes the idea that they're going to die, but I know what you're saying, Armin. And then, so Annie says, so you've decided. Yeah. All right. Well, I remember there's something here with the numbers which are not very good. And then Annie says, you're a weakling, but you've got spirit. Thanks. Seriously. Armin, you too? Says nothing. And then Armin says, Annie, you're actually pretty nice. Huh? What? Annie's an interesting one, man. She's standing out to me. I was talking about that in the comments when I was thinking about what kind of characters are curiously, I mean, they're being set up for something next because of the last volume with her combat skills and stuff, but she's got something to her. She's got an edge to her that is mysterious because it's not even she will get into it. If I recall correctly, she says something about her father too. How do I not remember that? That was a couple days ago, but in any case, her father trained her. I think that's what that if my memory serves me correct. But anyway, she's just a little bit odd is what I would say. And then what else do we have? And I bet you have a reason for joining the police corps. No, I just want to save myself, she says. So she's going to go for MPB. And then we're talking about, I wonder how many newbies are going to join the Corps. Oh man. Jean, what made you suddenly decide to join the Survey Corps? I mean, I thought you were scared. What? Of course I don't like it. The Corps, I mean. Huh? Then why are you... I may have chosen the Survey Corps, but not because I'm not afraid of the Titans. No. I'm not going to say something like skilled soldiers have a duty to join the Corps. Listen, seriously. I'm not in a hurry to die like Aaron. Don't lump me in with him. Trainees fall in, face the stage, and then this is where they're going to have the spiel. I am Survey Corps Commander Erwin Smith. The King has granted me authority over all Survey Corps activity. And as he goes through this big spiel here, and if I recall correctly, it's basically like, if you sign up for the Survey Corps, it's like 90% of you have died in the last, was it 5 years? The last 5 years? Pretty much the majority. So 9 out of 10 people are going to die. And I'm like, are you pitching this or are you scaring people away, where does he say that? I know my memory is not that wrong. Wait, does he start with that or end with that? Because he's saying some pretty decent stuff right now. Today you choose which division to join. The reason I'm here is to invite you to become a part of the Survey Corps. That I should warn you, in the recent Titan attack, everyone here experienced what the average excursion outside is like. I'm sure nothing else in our lives came close to it. Though you're trainees, you've experienced sacrifice. As a result, I'm sure you came to know your own limits and the terror of the Titans. Nevertheless, while it's true we suffered heavy losses in this attack, the human race has advanced towards victory like never before. So far so good, right? The existence of Eren Yeager, though, through his actions and all of yours, the Titan incursion has halted, and we have obtained a path to understanding the true nature of the Titans. I'm not at liberty, okay, blah, blah, blah. He talks about Shay and Sheena. We got to get it back because there's something in the basement. Now, Armin is a little bit estranged by the fact that they made this information public. Now, maybe there was a tactic to all of that from Erwin. I'm not sure, but he's got sort of a point there. Maybe he's trying to sniff out if there's someone in here that is the culprit, maybe. Armin says that. So it wasn't the thoughts were mine right now, but they were probably seeded because I read them when I read them. Because it gets to Armin and he says, wait, he must have an agenda. What's the commander looking at? Yeah. So he might have keyed into, maybe he's trying to see if something, I'm not sure. If we are to perform a full investigation on the basement. So he brings it up again. Bam, bam, bam. During those 4 years, over 90% of the Survey Corps soldiers died. That's 90% in 4 years. Even in the best case, that sending another battalion to Wall Maria would mean 5 times the casualties and 20 years of work. Those aren't realistic figures. Yeah, you're pretty much depleting your entire force to the point of they're not even gonna have enough people to go outside if they keep up at this rate. And it's still giving the spiel, still going. There's a big monologue here. Survey Corps always looking for talented people, so he's still trying to do the pitch. Those of you who join the Survey Corps will participate in an expedition beyond the wall 1 month from now. So he sets up the premise of where things are about to go. Now you know the dismissal state of affairs. Those of you who are still willing to put your lives on the line remain here. And then finally, let me reiterate, the majority of the people who stay here and enter the Survey Corps will likely die. Ask yourself if you really have it in you to sacrifice your life for humanity. And then there's a pause here. This was a nice scene because, it's kind of quiet. I mean, there's thoughts going on here like, shit, I'm begging you here. Don't make me hate myself more than I already do. It's giving some behind the scenes thoughts of people who are either going to walk away or stay. And some people stay, of course. There's some memory flashbacks here of almost getting eaten. And why the hell am I staying, right? If I don't get away from here now, I'll have to face them again. So that was in the tower failure there. And then we got Connie's thoughts here with, that's right, I left the village to become a military police officer. Would be so happy if I became an MP. Everyone in the village would respect me. So that's where it stops there. And then we already know, we've seen how Titans eat people. So the fear going through both of them. She's crying. That's Sasha. Oh, Sasha. And then we have a 2-page spread here. I can do this a lot better though. And it just, you can see a lot more by me sitting in front of this camera. And I'm pretty sure the audio is going to be a lot better too. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. We're 2/3 of the way through, and I'll talk about at the end how we'll do the next one. I was about to rant about it now, but no, let's finish the volume. If you were told to die, could you do it? I don't want to die. I see every one of you look good. Very well. I welcome the newest members of the Survey Corps. This is my real salute. Devote your hearts to the cause. And so we have the remaining folks up here up front. I mean, some people have walked. At this point, we got a 2-page spread. The key figures in the front here, some in the back, the 2 over here are unknowns. I don't recall them, but most of the other ones are our people. Sasha, Connie, Mikasa, Armin. We got Jean. We got oh my god, what's his name? Shit, Jean. And the ones that look the same, those 2 guys. I just forgot his name all of a sudden. I guess that other guy in the back isn't familiar. And then we have a kind of a quiet moment with all that empty space and the final thoughts there. Everyone, shit. It says Jean, this is the worst. Damn it. The Survey Corps, of all things. I hate this. I'm scared. This is Sasha. We got Connie. I just don't care anymore. Because he's like, that's some subtext going on there. I didn't catch this on my first read, but I'm catching it now. Because I just reread the whole point of like, the village would be so proud if I just became a military police brigadier officer. In any case, but it's like, I kinda don't care. I wonder if like Connie's like suffering from some sort of trauma from having seen like all the decimation that happened in the last assault, that they've sort of given up on life. Maybe I'll try to carry that thought through, because Connie's an interesting one, because he's starts to stand out to me specifically because of, and I'll tell you, because of this first page here. The summary they give for Connie is just strange. Now, I don't think I can read this. I'm in a dark room, even though it looks like there's a lot of light, so I can't see white text on black. But I wish I could. Hold on. See if my eyes can adjust. Effective at vertical maneuvering, but slow on the uptake. That comment right there. Like Connie's an idiot. I don't think Connie's an idiot. They haven't really presented themselves as an idiot. They're just slow and they don't follow. There's the last line. If I could just read it, I could remember. So his comprehension of tactics is less than stellar. And I was like, okay. Didn't really catch anything significant about Connie yet in the way that he's been presented. I guess he hasn't really stood out. He's been in scenes, although he shouldn't be. Like, I really feel like he should be more. Anyways, then we have, if you're gonna cry here, you might as well quit making her tough. I forget her name. And then the little one, the tiny one. I guess the tiniest one here on the back of the cover. I guess it's these 2 right here at the end. I don't remember either of their names right now, to be honest. I see 21 members in the 104th Survey Corps who have given the salute. Oop. And then there we go. And then we got Bam Bam. We got walkers here, which sucks, because I was kind of looking forward to Annie playing a bit of a more of a part, like with the crew. Just, I don't know. We'll see. You have withstood your fear well. You're all brave soldiers. You have my heartfelt respect. And then 1 month later, bam, they're preparing to go beyond the walls. Rumble, rumble, rumble. This is it. Now the human race takes another step forward. Show me what you've learned. And out they go. Open the gate. Expedition beyond the wall. They have to get through all of the Titans to get to the other side. So they get chased. They got support squads coming in there to, of course, get decimated. I really like the look of this camera. It knows how to focus in on things. And I think it looks good. Talks about the horse here, and it sounded like it'd be like insignificant. This page would be insignificant, but it actually isn't. It's actually extremely important. And the fact that they put it right here is convenient, because it sets up the next chapter. It sets up a lot of, not sets up, it's not a major setup. I'm saying that the information here is important because from a tactics perspective and a writing perspective, it establishes something about the speed of the horses relative to the speed of the Titans, which is kind of important. That's how they can outrun, of course, they have more endurance and stuff like that, and they're fearless. We have some flashback moments here in the black panels here, but I actually do not recall, hold on, what's getting set up here. Oh, they're talking about how the formation works. Pretty brilliant formation. There's like a flare system going on here. Protect Aaron at all costs. Aaron's going to be at the center of the formation, and then it's basically when they spot a Titan, there's different colored flares that they'll put up to indicate to the rest of the spread out formation that they have to pivot left or right, and it kind of steers the entire column away from the greater threats. And if it does breach the side, the flanks. Then the flanks sort of take care of it, and they fracture off and they break off by defending that part. But they've already warned the rest of the column to kind of pivot and move, so they don't get caught up in the chaos storm. And then let's see what else we have here. Then only so Aaron's finding out the ones that didn't sign up for the Survey Corps by saying that only Annie, Marco, and Jean went with the military police brigade. Everyone else either joined the Corps or the garrison. And then guess who shows up? It's Jean. What? Jean, what are you doing here? Wait a second. Marco's dead, so he learns about Marco here. So now we're in sync. We got Aaron in sync with the narrative. Yeah, that's rough. Apparently not everyone gets to have a dramatic death. I don't know what his last moments were like, but he wasn't wearing vertical maneuvering gear, is what Jean says here. Now, why that's important right now, I'm not sure. But my brain is actually going faster now than when I read it the first time. Because why would you say that in the story unless it was important? He wasn't wearing vertical maneuvering gear. Okay, well, I'm going to store that away in the back. Now, he died and nobody was there to see it. Yep. Aaron, I heard you try to kill Mikasa when you turned into a Titan. What the hell was that about? So there's a stare down. Mikasa tries to step in. I'm not asking you. That's why I like Jean. Jean is like, I'm liking Jean quite a bit the more this goes. Mikasa, that scar on your cheek looks pretty deep when you get it. Yeah, don't lie to Jean. Jean's an honest bro. You know, he's just going to say it the way it is, and he expects to be told the way it is. Don't shenanigan him. Anyways, in other words, until now, you had no idea you even possessed this Titan power and have no means of keeping it under control. And that's about it. Did you people hear that? I guess this is where we stand. Bit of a standoff here. This is what our lives and the fate of humanity rides on. This is what we'll die for, and like with Marco, Aaron won't even know about it. Jean. Yeah. Mikasa trying to step in here. Jean, what's the sense in driving Aaron into a corner here? Look, Mikasa, not everybody is like you. We're not all volunteering to die for Aaron. All of us, Aaron included, should know what our lives are going to be used for. Otherwise, we might hesitate in a crisis. But we're looking to Aaron to give us something in return, and let us carefully appraise its value. I like this part. So we can decide whether it's worth our lives. And he goes to Aaron. Seriously, we're counting on you. Okay. And then away they go. And we got Derpy Face. He's just such a derpy face. I don't understand why they would draw him like that. Anyways, he bites his tongue again because that's the way it is. Again, just some more formation talk. That's sort of what it looks like. Bit of a spread out. And then all the horses kind of deploy into their positions there. And away we go. I like this too. Very clever storytelling because it shows you like where people are in a relative to the formation as we kind of jump between scenes, because there's going to be a lot of flipping back and forth. There's a lot of characters in motion at this point. This is actually very difficult to do. But it actually pulls it off. The manga actually pulls it off. There's points where it's just like, who's that person? Wait, who? Have I learned who they are? Wait, who died? You know, and so I got a little bit confused, but at the same time, it's like, no, it kind of made sense. It would all fall into place when it needed to fall into place. Like things that needed to make sense made sense. And then we just kind of, I think just moved on. So they talk about again, the horses. Again, this is the horse speed coming into play here. The information we just got that the horses are faster. And we do have this guy here, right here, this Titan that seems to be running on all fours, or maybe seems to be keeping up to some degree because it's just faster. I think that was what I remember. I didn't actually just reread it right now, but I'm pretty sure. And then some of them are kind of like hidden because of terrain or something like that, so people will notice them late. So they have to flare a little bit later and pivot the entire column. But we learn here just like what the defense mechanisms are here. You basically have to follow that protocol, even if you know you're going to get wrecked along the way. You sort of have to think about the bigger picture and the orders and following the orders, etc., etc. Now we get this Armin scene. This is great. Armin notices things are weird, things are rough, right? That's a black flare. It's ignoring the nearby humans and heading straight for the center of the formation. There's no doubt about it. That one's an abnormal. And then we got these two characters, which were amazing. I love that. I think they're brother and sister. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And so they have this like awesome coordinated attack on this thing. They'll go for the Achilles tendon. They'll just slice the Achilles tendon so it can't run anymore, and the other one goes for the neck, that kind of thing. It was just such a cool scene. The action here, probably the more spectacular scenes that I've seen in a while, especially because we've just gone through a lot of talking head moments. But now things are getting crazy. And sometimes I can't really follow what's going on. But I mean, it's enough. You can see that the Achilles tendon getting cut there. And then the other swipe just kind of, because there's these lines that just go And you're like, what just happened? What, you know what happened, right? And then they kind of give you the, as it starts to fade away, you can kind of put the pieces together and then move on. So jumps back on the horse, start getting back into formation with Armin here. And then from the distance, what the hell is that? It looks like there's another one. Another abnormal. Fast as hell. Quickly approaching. And we have what looks to be a female Titan. This one's going to be tough. And it's keeping up with the horses, which is why that whole moment with this telling, like early on, telling us as readers the vitalness of the horses and why they're used by the Survey Corps. Or there was also a detail where like the cost of a horse is it the entire salary, the life salary of a Survey Corps member or something like that? It was like expensive. It's expensive is the point there. It's like you don't want to lose a horse along the way. Anyways, tries to go for a slice and dice here, but things don't go good. It goes in for a slice. One of them bites it, grabs the cord of the other one, slingshots them into the ground, and that's a game over. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Decimated, just like that. So now we know this is important. This is going to be rough. And then Armin says, that's not an abnormal. Squad leader Ness, please tell me, what should I do? What is that? It's not a normal or an abnormal. That one is intelligent, like the Colossus Titan, the Armor Titan, and Aaron. So the Armor Titan getting brought back in, and then bam, we have ourselves a problem. Armin's on the run. Then it must be a human in the body of a Titan. But who? Why would anyone do this? This is bad. What do I do? I'm gonna die too. It's gonna kill me. Go Armin, go. And then, I mean, things are not looking good on the flank. That got surprise attacked and wrecked. And yeah, those are always gruesome scenes, especially like the drawing of like the way they just have these visuals sometimes with the way they bite into the bodies that are just rough, man. And then we have, of course, the quirky endings here. They're meeting that transcended race and they're parting. That's like a romance story. A love that overcame taboo brings a miracle into the world. Like it's like a super heroic, like the car coming. Hey, I'll protect you. She's probably maybe becoming one of my favorites too. I suppose I'll give her that. She's a lot of fun. And that's it. That's a wrap. That's volume 5. So, I mean, overall thoughts. The pace picked up. I was talking about it in comments. I've been rating these along the way on Goodreads just so that I can have a way to quickly validate where I thought each of the volumes were relative to each other. Now, that being said, it's on Goodreads, so it's kind of relative against all the books that I'm rating on Goodreads. And the rating system, the definition I have there, I do have to sort of stick to that so that it makes sense to novels as well, or graphic novels. There's no 0.5 stars there, so I generally have to, it's going to be whole. Like the last volume for me would have been probably a 2.5, but I had to choose a 2 or a 3, so I went with 3 for volume 4, just because it was a lot of just setup and a lot of, it just dragged down the momentum that the first 3 volumes had us on. Now volume 5 spends the first half still going talking head mode on us and setting things up, but the setup, it feels like a slow burn setup that is going to have a long tail payoff, but they had to do it. They had to get these things out of the way because we basically got, in my opinion, I'm speculating, right? We got past the first 3 volumes of like the hype mode of getting people, buyers, to like be in for the series, and then 4 is like, I mean, you're gonna lose them if you don't pick this back up again, in my opinion. But they've already got the first 3 volumes to sort of set up the danger and the scope that this was all gonna be in, right? That this is beyond the wall. This is gonna blow up even further, and so they have to do a lot of that pre-setup to kind of, for you to then hook into the characters, because there were so many characters and we couldn't spend that much time with them in those first 3 volumes. So 4 really had to do a lot of that groundwork. Could it have threaded it into the first 3 volumes? In my opinion, yes. I think the entire volume 4 could potentially have been threaded through all of the other content that came before it. Like the anime, I noticed the anime was doing it a lot better, in my opinion, because it would have given you some setup to care about some of the characters a little bit earlier, and the dynamics between those character interactions might have played out a little differently if we had some of that context before the climactic moments or the battles or the squads getting decimated and people dying and stuff like that. It might have just given some more context, that's all. And so with 5, I would rate this one probably a 3. Still not going to go to, it's almost, no, it's going to be a 3. So a 3 for me, it's still good. Like 3 is good. 3 is like the average rating, but good, 2 is okay. Even 2 isn't like bad. 1 is like probably not recommended. 0 or a DNF, like I did not finish. Well, that's a 0 is a 0. That's like you don't even recommend that to people. A 1 for me would be like if you're committing to the entire series, then it wouldn't hurt you to read one, and a 1-star review, right, in the run. But a 2 for me is like if you skipped it, you would probably miss some context. But if you sped read it, you'd probably be okay. Like it's probably gonna like you're probably gonna get the context later on, and you're gonna be able to stitch it together. But if you're a thoroughist, you should read it. And that's like for 3 for me is like I think you should read it because there's information in here that I really do think is going to pan out. And so that's what I would say about this one. It feels like a setup for something. Like I feel like the next volume 6 would probably be a 4, potentially a 5. Depends on how crazy things get and how many moving pieces like catch me off guard or make me like over intrigued. Like a 4 for me is like I'm intrigued. It's like it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and it's a recommend, you know. But anyways, I'm going on too much about the scoring. I should probably talk about that up front or put that somewhere so people understand like when I'm giving stars what it means. That's why this is a 3. It's not a 3 because it's bad. It's a 3 because I feel like it's a setup for something bigger and greater and more compelling than Talking Heads in the first half of this. That's why I got a 3. Okay, but the last half, like the last chapter, where like that new Titan, the new intelligent Titan lands into the narrative, you're like, oh, okay, this is now things are going to pick up and it's probably going to get crazy for a bit. And so I'm looking forward to volume 6. Anyway, so I'll talk a little bit about the format here. We're still experimenting along the way, and that's okay. The next one, I'm maybe going to try to do just a straight up review of volume 6 to see. I don't want these to be shorter just for the sake of being shorter, but for example, the experience of me kind of going through this the second time, I've actually lost more time than if I would just do a live review read of this, even though it doesn't feel compelling when I'm doing it because there's so much breaks between what I'm reading and what gets cut magically for all of you. And so for me, in my brain, I'm not really in the, like, I'm kind of hyped, kind of going through it faster. My brain is constantly active and energized. You know what I'm saying when I'm talking about these things. But when I'm blind reading and reacting as I go, I'm kind of like in this, you know what I mean? Like I'm doing this kind of thing. And I feel like it starts to feel awkward and not natural for me because I know I have to go back into talking to camera mode when I'm kind of reading, which is why you'll notice when I'm doing the blind reads, I'm always talking. I'm doing that because I'm trying to maintain some sort of energy in the vocalization of my thoughts. Just a weird vlog at the end of this, just kind of explain to you the behind the scenes of, because I've been analyzing like why does one way feel better than the other or more awkward than the other. The comments along the way help me think about these kinds of things, you know. And so this is an experiment as much as it is me getting through this series. And then what can I talk about the next approach? I'm probably going to try to do a straight up review of it, but I'm going to take some notes along the way real quick. I mean, they're on the screen again, but again, I barely looked at them again. That's what I do. I kind of just get into the thing. And if I have triggers that happen based on visuals, that's actually very easy for me to sort of remember what I was thinking about at the time, so I can recommunicate. But can I just do these as a review? The pro is I can probably record this in half an hour instead of another hour. And what I mean by this, because I'm trying to continue my sentences, but I'm failing, is that I read it and it probably took me just over an hour to read this, like by myself. But then to record this, it actually took me just over an hour. And then I'm going to edit it, which is going to probably take me an hour. So it's like, did that really save me time? Not really. Like I have to commit a whole evening to doing one volume. We're not going to be able to ramp up. And there's like 20 plus of these still to read. I'm not trying to speed through this, not at all. But I also feel like the con of this, of doing it in a review fashion, is that what I get out of like flipping the pages here and being able to turn the pages to all of you is that you're able to get the visual context of what I'm talking about as well. And I'm also able to trigger myself to speak about it. But while I'm doing that, I then see like the way a character said something. I'm like, it's subtle. And I'm not just going to remember that on the fly unless I take notes and I write them down and then I actually look at them when I'm talking to all of you. But I tend to not do that. And then I end up editing and going, I forgot to talk about these 2 or 3 things, you know? And so that's the part where I'm like, do I want to feel like that? Because then I might fail from another perspective, but I need to find the balance of that. And so this is a bit of a journey and exploration as I go. And so after reading volume 6, I'll be back, maybe still tonight because it's early. I took the day off because of some stuff, and I will see if I can still pull this one off this evening, and then we'll go from there. Thanks for showing up. As always, I appreciate your time. I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.